Hello, everyone. So I have been volunteering at the Rotary Club for a while now, and I want to contribute, you know, um, I want to contribute to the Rotary by sharing an idea I thought of on 4 ways to improve the mental health industry. Now, first of all, I'm not saying that there is anything wrong with it, but there is always room for improvement for everything that we do. Now, before I get into it, I want to share a little bit about my experience. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to get really deep into my trauma since that would not be professional. But I have autism, and in the past, I have been misdiagnosed and mismedicated. And because there is little information on autism, when I tried telling different staff members that I've been misdiagnosed and mismedicated, they did not believe me, and they said, well, no, the expert knows what they're doing. And it wasn't until I started working with my service coordinator who specialized in autism, who confirmed what I've been trying to communicate. It's actually very common for individuals on the spectrum to be misdiagnosed and mismedicated. Now, the 4 suggestions that I have on how to improve the mental health industry, they all have to do with feeling heard. Because, we all mean well, but I do feel that our society is slowly, I'd say there's an increase in lack of communication skills. And I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not blaming or anything. This is just something that I'd like to articulate for. So let's say, for example, that somebody had to go to the hospital for mental health or go to a outpatient partial program. These are the 4 ideas that I thought of that I think would really help individuals. So 1 is individuality. Now, what do I mean by individuality? So when we come up with skills to help people, we usually try to think of skills that work for most people, what helps for people across the board. But what I'm saying is that each individual is so uniquely different. And sometimes the very thing that we forget to do is to ask questions and check with the person, okay, so what is it that helps you and what is it that you go through? Because not everyone is the same, and I understand why it's set up this way, and it's because of large populations of people, and so it's hard to find skills that are very individualized because that would involve a lot more staffing and all that. And so my second idea is 2-way communication. Now, this is unintentional, of course, but a lot of times I find that some providers may have a hard time hearing. There is an excitement to teach, but there might be a hard time learning, because it does take time to understand individuals and not just go by what we see in others. Because again, everybody is so uniquely different. So some of the communication skills that I suggest would be things like asking questions, not making interruptions, not making assumptions, and validating the other perspective. Now, of course, it doesn't mean we have to agree, but to still hear people out, and because in the end, it is about what works for the individual. And so that's something that I'm trying to advocate. Because yes, I'm sure that a lot of doctors and experts, they're aware of what helps other individuals, and, they're aware of just a lot of mental health. But I would say that we are the biggest experts of ourselves. And so it's a matter of teaching experts like how we learn and what works for us as well. My third suggestion is to seek to understand behavior rather than fix it. So let's say, for example, that there was an individual who was having a meltdown and was overreacting. Well, let's say that I was a therapist. It would not be right if I were to offer skills right at that moment and say, well, try doing this or try doing that. Because when emotions are that high, then that would just escalate the tensions and escalate the behavior. Now, of course, staff are still allowed to set boundaries, because if somebody is going to overreact, then we do have to take space. So something that might be more helpful than to try to fix their behavior is to say, you know what, I want to help you, but I can't if you're going to talk to me this way. Why don't we come back when emotions have settled down? But I understand the stress that you're going through, and I'm sorry. And I'd say that, and now my fourth suggestion is relationship care before skills. I mean, sure, we all need skills, but depending on how severe a person is doing, like let's say they're at their lowest point right now, or, I mean, I'm not going to get into detail, but let's say someone was really, really doing bad, and then someone came up to you and said, hey, try doing this, like try working on this. No, you know what? Sometimes what we need the most is just somebody to talk to, like just a friend who can validate our experiences. Maybe have a coffee with them and just help them feel wanted. Cause it's kind of like, I guess the best way I can put it is, it's like having a child. And when you have a child, they're going to cry and react a lot. They're going to go through pain. But we have to wait until they're grown and developed before we can teach them to be independent. Because when you're going through a really, really tough time, we all do lean towards others to a certain extent. Nobody is 100% independent. We're all codependent in one way or another because we all need people. So, underneath these 4 suggestions that I've made, even though I feel that the mental health industry has the best of intentions, I do feel we don't hear people enough, because I do feel individuals do not feel heard, and it's my theory that that is what is causing the increase in depression, because they don't know how to communicate these needs, because it is very hard for most of us to be curious. We tend to problem solve before really knowing the problem. And so this is what I want to contribute to Rotary, because I do want to help people, and I would love to share this message with others, and hope that there could be a decrease in a lot of the depression that goes on. So please let me know what you think, and thank you.